All right, welcome to class, and today we want to consider a case study in financial modeling. With this case study, we want to introduce financial modeling from the scratch. We will also look at some Excel formulas, some functions as we walk along. So the first thing we want to do is go through our case study and see how we can implement it. Mm. We will go ahead and open a blank Excel workbook, and go ahead and build the financial model. So let's dive right in. So the first thing is we want to understand the business case. We want to understand the client. We want to understand the problem we have. We want to understand the client's business, what they are into, their sales, their operations. We want to understand their capex and depreciation. We will also understand their working capital, their taxes, their debts, equity, any other assumptions that will help us build a an effective financial model for them. So let's go ahead. This company is called Bright Manufacturing. Bright is a large manufacturer of industrial storage tanks that are used by companies in oil and gas industry. The financial model. You have been provided with 3 years of annual historical financial statement for Bright. So when you want to prepare a financial model, of course, you have to have historical financial statements, right? Except you are building a project finance, right? Project finance, mostly you start from scratch. Mostly we use an SPV, that's special purpose vehicle, and you just start from scratch. You want to build a business, or you want to expand a business, and right, so you don't have a historical financial statement. But in this case, when you want to build a financial statement or financial model for a company that's already in business, they will give you their historical financial statements, then you can make projections from there. So let's continue from here. The most recent statement available to you is 2016. This is the base year. This is the most recent financial statement, right? So that means the historical financial statement they are giving you, the 3 years historical, will start from 2014, 2015, then 2016. Your task is to build an integrated annual model for the company for the next 5 years. That is 2017 to 2021. Using the historical data and the following assumptions, assume all figures are in dollars unless stated otherwise. So the currency here is dollars, right? So let's look at their sales, the sales of Bright Manufacturing. In 2016, net revenue was this. This was the net revenue in 2016 per unit. Now revenue per unit. Revenue per unit. That is gross revenue of this per unit, less freight and cost of 100 naira, $100, sorry about that, per unit. Now this revenue figures, you can notice they are per unit. The company is a manufacturer of storage tanks, right? So revenue per unit is this, right? Net revenue. This is the gross. And gross is made up of revenue per unit less freight, or freight and warehousing costs. So this is a cost. So we'll mark all these things so that we can always come back to them. This is cyclical industry, and the sales prices are expected to average $800 in 2017, $725 in 2018, 825 in 2019, just like that. And ultimately $750 in 2021. So it means that prices change from time to time. So freight and warehousing costs are expected to increase at inflation. So the cost of freight is expected to increase at inflation, right? That means we have to factor in inflation in our model. Bright's factory has a capacity of 420 units per year. So this is a constraint. It means they cannot produce more than 420,000 units per year because that's the capacity of the factory, except they do some expansion. And of course, in this model, there is no um, consideration for expansion in the next 5 years, right? The company expects sales volumes to grow at 5% in 2017, 4% every year thereafter. So there'll be a growth, sales volume growth, right? Sales volume growth. So remember, when we calculate our sales volume, right, we'll go ahead and grow it every year by 5%. That is the expectation of the company. So for the operating costs, now a breakdown of the forecasted operating cost for 2017 is provided below. So the company must have made a budget. Remember, their last financial year was 2016. So in 2017, which is the current year, they forecasted operating costs to be as follows. They have operating costs comprised of variable costs and fixed costs, right? So we have under the variable costs, their raw material, which is $226, utilities, $66.2. Total variable cost is this, right? This is not well aligned, right? So the total variable cost is $292.20, right? And the fixed cost comprised of rents, operating labor, other costs, and with this given amounts. So we'll go ahead and know how to apply this variable cost and fixed cost as we walk along. So operating costs are expected to grow at inflation thereafter. We need to take note of this. Operating costs. So after 2017, they expect to grow at inflation, right? So we need to take note of this. SG&A, selling general and administrative expenses, is expected to be this amount in the forecast year 2017 and grow as inflation thereafter. Right, so we'll take note of this too. So the next thing is to look at their capex, that is capital expenditure and depreciation. The company plans to invest $16 million on capex in 2017, $17 million in 2018, $17.3 million in 2019, 17.5 and $18 million in 2021. Right. Bright uses straight line method of depreciation. This is a very simple method of depreciation, straight line. Existing assets have a remaining useful life of 25 years, while new assets will be depreciated over 30 years. So this is for existing assets. They have a remaining useful life. Let's assume that in this situation that all the assets they have, maybe they are the same categories of assets, and they actually came in within the same year. So, but in real life, most companies have different assets, and you know they have different useful life for each of those assets. So, but in this case, since it's a case study and we want to make it as easy as possible, we'll just take all the remaining assets to have a remaining useful life of 25 years, and while new assets will depreciate over 30 years. Right. So let's go ahead. Working capital. So working capital will be based on historical data. Glad we have historical data here. So the modeler can make reasonable assumptions for the working capital days over the next 5 years. So the next thing we'll look at is the income tax. The income tax rate is 35%. And there is a note here, the aggregate reduction in government pre-tax earnings due to timing difference between accounting and government rules is expected to be $5 million per year for the next 5 years. So do you know what this is talking about? When there is an aggregate reduction, when there is a timing difference between accounting and government rules. Do you know this in accounting? Can you
Well,
can
I
you
don't know
remind
if
me? I think it's IAS 12, right? Do you know what's in IAS 12?
income taxes.
Income taxes. What is that timing difference? IAS 12 summary. So we'll get to see this while we are preparing our financial model, right? So
Yeah.
let's see. IAS 12 prescribes the accounting treatment for income taxes, including recognition of current and deferred taxes, current and deferred tax assets and liabilities based on taxable profits. So IAS 12 mainly deals with deferred tax asset and um, deferred tax liability. So most times when we compute our taxes, in the corporate world, it's always different from how the government compute theirs, right? Sometimes government wants you to depreciate your asset faster while you are taking your time to depreciate it, or the other way around, just like that. So most times there's always a timing difference. So when you say aggregate reduction in government pre-tax earnings due to timing difference, so we'll look at it later, right? Then we'll talk about the debts. We'll go and work out the debts. The senior secured term debts. So there are different types of ways a company finances their operations, and assets, right? They can choose to acquire assets using debt. They can choose to, finance their operations using debt. So they have different types of debts. The senior secured debt here, in this case, senior secured term debts and revolver pay interest at a fixed rate of 6%, right? You pay interest at 6%. We didn't mark this, so let's just mark this timing difference between the corporate tax and the government tax here. Then we'll go back to debts. So the senior secured term debt and revolver pay interest at a fixed interest rate of 6%. So that's the interest rate for that particular kind of debt. Then we have excess cash. Excess cash earns interest income at a rate of 1%. So most companies don't just keep their cash lying around. They generate income with it, right? They can just keep it in an account that will, they will invest it and, generate interest income with it. Amortization on secured senior term debt. So this is amortization. They are trying to pay back their debts, the debts they took, you know, and they amortize it. Amortization on senior secured term debts will be $25 million per year until the debt is repaid. So most times when you pick up when you take a debt, maybe from a bank or from any other company, maybe from the capital market, there is always an amortization schedule that shows how you want to be repaying that debt from time to time. So for this company, it's very simple. They will be paying 25 million per year until the debt is repaid. The company will draw on its revolver if it ever has a cash shortfall, right? So revolver is just like an overdraft, right? So if they need cash, maybe they are short of cash, they'll access their revolver, maybe from a bank, microfinance, or any loan company, the revolver has a cash sweep such that whenever a revolver balance is outstanding, all excess cash flow after dividends and share repurchases is used to pay off the revolver. Yes, so the revolver has a cash sweep. You don't want money lying down without using it effectively. So if they have excess cash, if they have excess cash flow after they have paid dividend and share repurchase, they use it to pay off their revolver, right? So for equity, the dividend for its common shares is expected to be based on a payout of 20% of net income. So this company pays dividends. That means it's actually a company that has been in business for a while. Most new companies don't really pay, most startups don't really pay dividends, right? Because they want to utilize the profits they've made over time. They want to reinvest it back into the business so the business can grow. So for a company to be paying out dividends, that means they must have been in operation for a while. So feel free to make any other reasonable assumptions that you may need to build the model. Yes, as you build the model, you can also include some other helpful assumptions. So we are going to use a spreadsheet that has historical financial information to, work from there. Then we'll create an assumptions page. So one of the pages we'll create is an assumptions page. We'll create an assumptions page and make sure that the assumptions page is logical and well organized. We'll also build scenarios to run three cases: base case, best case, and worst case. Yes, scenario very important so that we'll see how the various line items changes in different scenarios, right? So we build scenarios on a few of the assumptions that create the most variability on the company's earnings, such as inflation, change in price, change in volume, and the rest of that. We'll create schedules for the key items that will appear on the financial statements. We'll build schedules, right? Then we'll summarize key operations. We'll build a summary page, executive summary. So we'll come back, we'll just take a few minutes break and come back and go right ahead and build the template sheet for this financial model.
Right. Break commences now, right?
Okay, welcome back to class. So when you want to build a financial model for a company that is already in operations, mostly you have historical financial statement of that company. And it's always good to have at least 2 or 3 years of historical financial statements. So you have historical income statements, cash flow, and balance sheets for your projection, right? So let's talk about this. Let's look at different sections of a financial model, right? Let's look at these sections of a financial model, right? So in a financial model, there are different sections, right? One of the first section is we have the front section, right? We have the front section. We have the front section. Then we have the engine, right? We have the engine. There's a part called the engine, and we are going to look at this one after the other. And there's another part called the output calculations. Output calculations. So let's look at this one after the other. For this for the front section, right? Front section comprises of items like the cover page. The cover page, we have the cover page. When you open the financial model, you want to see a cover page. Then we have the executive summary. right? Executive summary. Then things like the assumptions. Assumptions. These are the things you walk up to, or things that give you an idea of what the financial model is all about, the assumptions and the scenarios before you get into the main financial model. Wow, what happens? Oh yeah, okay, okay, okay. Sorry. So our Excel is seeing this as a formula.
Formula because of the equal to.
Yes, seeing it as a formula. So you need to put what is this called now? A quotation mark, right? Or what is it called? Is it inverted comma? Help me, English students. So these things are what you put, when you build a financial model, you want to make it easier to understand. You want to make it appealing to the users, to the executive or to your boss. So includes the engine includes things like our calculation. That is where we do the cooking. Calculation of a financial model, calculations and your financial statements, statements, right? This is where the main work is being done, right? While the outputs are like the aftermath of the whole calculations and the financial statements we've built, right? So most times we have DCF, DCF values, right? You have the IRR, that's the internal rate of return. For our accountants, I believe you know what this means. You have the difference ratios, ratio analysis. Um, so as many things as possible, especially if you are doing valuation, you have DCF, comps, and the rest of them, right? So, but for this presentation, we'll mainly be dealing with all these parts, the front end and the engine. We want to do the cover page, the executive summary, the assumptions, scenarios. Then we'll go ahead and do all the calculations, prepare all the schedules necessary, and we go ahead and build the financial statement, which is the model, right? Or the forecast. So for the cover page, we are going to build a cover page, right? Which is the first thing you see. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a sheet just by clicking on this plus button here, right? Hold on, let me hide this control floating button. Right, so once you click this plus button, you can just change it by double clicking it and typing cover. Right, so our cover page is something we do just to make our financial model look like a presentation. Right, we want it to be appealing so that once you open the financial model, you can see it as a presentation. So I'm just going to hold it down and drag it to the beginning. Right, so what I'm going to do is build a cover page. Very simple. There's no hard and fast rule about it. Just make it presentable. So mostly on the cover page, you want to have the name of the company we are working with. So once I highlight this part, I want to make it the print area. I just go to page layout and make it set as print area. So I'm going to go ahead and go to view and remove the grid lines. And you see, so we are going to put the company name we are working with, the client's name or the company's name. In this case, it is Bright Manufacturing, right? Manufacturing. So things that you can include on your cover page includes the name of the company, right? Name of the company, the 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 you can put name of the company and financial model, the name of the modeler, right? Just say Bright Manufacturing Financial Model. Is that correct? That's wrong. Financial model. Let me enlarge my screen. Please, if you can't see it clearly, just let me know. Right. Bryce Manufacturing Financial Model. You can put the year, right? So just make it presentable. We are building financial model from 2017, right, to 2021. So basically, this name of the company should be big enough to see. It's an input. Now, don't forget the color code in financial model. The color code in financial model is your input should be in blue color, right? So we are going to change this text to color blue. Let's look for a beautiful blue, right? Let's make it bold, Control B, right? I'm going to leave this one as it is. And then what else? Can put modeler, right? Who is the modeler? The modeler is who? Let's say Onye Lade.
I'm with you.
You're not actually with me. So Onye Lade, what's
No,
that your surname? Akin what?
no, it's Oyinda Mola Oluwadari.
Onye Mola Oluwadari. But you're not the one that built this model now. So let me remove your name. Let me let me just put your name. Let's assume that you built it. Oyinda Mola. Let's just put O so that people will not come and find you in your house. Mm. Okay, so you can put any other thing. Just make it as simple as possible. Then you can put the company's logo here. Let's see. Let's see. You can put the company's logo here if you have it. But most companies have logos, right? So this is the cover page. Looks simple. Looks like presentation. So what else can we do? So the next section of your financial model under the front section is the executive summary. Now, the executive summary, let's talk about the executive summary. We'll do an executive summary. The executive summary is, let's see, executive summary. I'll just give you some main points about the executive summary, bold, right? What should we know about the executive summary? The executive summary should be customized basically for your clients or your boss, the industry you are working with, or you are working on. If the client is in the finance industry, right, you just customize it, make it look appealing for that industry. Your boss, you should know what your boss is looking out for in your financial model, right? So the executive summary should have items like the revenue forecast. So the first thing I said is it should be customized, right? So it should be customized for the
Sorry, that's you're
company,
breaking
right?
again.
Oh, so sorry
Back.
about that. Can you hear me clearly now? Hello, Faith, confirm you can hear me. Oh, can you hear me now? Hmm.
Yes, back now. I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. So as I was saying, the executive summary should be customized for your clients, right? For your clients, your industry. So if you're working in the financial industry, the executive summary should contain items that are necessary or line items that are necessary for that financial industry, right? Then your boss, if you are building a financial model for your boss, you should know what he's looking out for in the financial model, right? Sorry, your boss. Who else? So on and so forth, right? So,
So, I don't know if you also make use of financial models.
oh, sorry, I didn't get that.
Did you hear what I said?
No, I did not hear you.
Oh, okay. I said I don't know if shareholders also like make use of financial models.
Okay. Well, anybody can make use of financial model if the shareholder is interested in knowing the future performance of course, they will want to look at it if they have access to it. So shareholders want to know if the share of the company will perform better in the future, right? So of course, if they should have access to the financial model, they should be able to make use of it. But basically, yes, any decision maker wants to have access to the shareholder, sorry, to the financial model, so they can make whatever decision they want to make as regards the company. Right. So common items that even though we said that you should customize it for your clients, the industry, your boss, shareholders, but most times you don't really build financial model for shareholders, right? Yeah. Even though shareholders want to, look at the performance, the share price, the profitability of the company, that's very important to them, right? Yes. So what else? So common items that we can include in our executive summary. Right, hold on, please. So common items that we can include on our executive summary includes revenue forecasts. We want to forecast our revenue forecasts. What else? Can you suggest what people or maybe different users might want to see on the executive summary? Remember, executive summary is just like the word sounds, just an overview, just like a summary of all the things we've built so far, right? Most people don't really have time to be going through the numbers. They just want you to give them an overview, summarize. They don't want they don't want to be crunching numbers, right? They just want you to give them, okay, well, what is revenue going to be like in the next 5 years? What is the EBITDA, right? Earnings before interest, taxation, depreciation, and amortization. What is the EBITDA forecast going to be like, right? What else would they be looking out for? Some people want the cash flow forecast, right? Cash flow forecast, right? Some people want to see the net present values, the IRRs, and different ratios, maybe profitability ratios and the rest of them. They want you to summarize them on the executive summary page, right? So, but one thing about the executive summary is that it is always the first thing after the cover page. So let's name it executive summary. Okay, so I'm going to build and let's say notes. Hold on, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to bring all these my notes here. Right, I'm going to bring all these notes here so that we can always have access to them. La 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 la. Control X. So I'm going to Control V here. Control V. So these are my notes where we do our notes. I'm going to delete this. Delete. And make this our notes. Thank you. So, so our executive summary, one thing about our executive summary is that it's always the first thing, right? First sheet after our cover page, after the cover page, right? Then it is always the last thing we build. You don't start your financial model um, building by building the executive summary. So it is the last thing or the last sheet to build. But we had to talk about it because it's always the front section. It's on the front section of our financial model, right? So what else should come at the front section? So basically today, majorly want to, talk about the front section and build our templates, right? So what else should we see on our front session? I mentioned assumptions, scenarios, So assumptions are the various things that you consider to build your financial model, while scenarios, talk about the variabilities like changes in price. You want to assume different cases like the base case, the best case and the worst case, right? You want to say if price changes to this, what will our performance look like? If inflation should rise by this, what should our performance be like? Right? That's where the scenarios come in. So right about now, we want to go ahead and build our template. So you can see our historical financial statement already from the company. So what we'll do is we want to build the template sheets. So let's build a template sheet for our financial model so that we can replicate it for the different sections of the financial model. Remember, we said we have the front section, the engines, and the output calculations. And in one of our classes, we said that there is a standard called fast standard. Do you remember this standard? Fast standard, right? So one thing why
Yes.
yes, why we want to build a template sheet is because of one of these fast standard is what is FF is flexibility, right? The financial model should be flexible. It should be what's appropriate for the industry or for the company or for the use, right? What is S? It should have a structure, right? It should be structured. Remember, so one of the reasons why we are building a template is because our financial model should have a good structure. We want to have a structure for the appearance and the various inputs we want to make sure it is consistent, right? The various inputs we are going to use. Then what is T? What is T? Can you remember?
No, I'm not sure.
Ha 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 ha. And you are proud to say you are not sure. Hello, Faith. Can you rescue? So I'll
I
leave it.
can't remember.
Ah,
Is it
okay.
is it T of balance sheet?
God of mercy. Mm.
Sorry.
I'll leave it for you to figure out. When you remember, just let me know. So we want to build our template sheet, right? So this template sheet is one of the ways we want to structure our financial model, make sure it is consistent. Each of the pages are consistent. So the first three columns, I'll use it for my navigation, right? Then this this next column here, I'm going to use this sheet for writing, for typing in my line items, right? Then this one will be the for the inputs, for the units and inputs, right? This will be for the units. This will be for the inputs. I'm going to just leave these two columns empty for any other use in case I have a need for them, right? Then I'm going to start here imputing my historical. This will be from my historical. So I'm going to type this is my actual, right? These are my actual. So I'm going to duplicate it. You remember we have 3 years historical figures. So this will be my forecast. How many years forecast are we considering? This will be my forecast.
3.
5 years forecast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
Remember,
oh, oh. Yes, we have 3 years before.
now look at this. We are asked to do a 5 years forecast, right? 2017 to 2021, 5 years forecast. Can you see that? Right, so let's go back to this. So this will be for our forecast, right? So what I'm going to do is just go. One thing about financial model is you do a whole lot of linking. Once the number is already in existence, you don't need to type it again, right? So you remember here we have our 2014. You select to the right and press Control R, right? That is your actual figures, right? Then for the forecast, you just press this +1, right? So that's 2017 to 2021, Control R. Right, so what we'll do here is, remember this one is actual, so we are going to customize the number. Press Control 1, go to custom, right? So look at this, it's on general. We can just select this 0 here. Then we press this backwards slash. We type the backwards slash and we type A. Now, when you are doing this, be looking at this thing here. You can see this 2014 has turned to 2014A. So that is 2014 actual figure, right? So I've implemented it to all this. You can see Control B. So for the forecast years, I just select all this, then press Control 1 again. Go to custom, select 0, and also press backward slash, then put F. F stands for forecast. Okay, so look at these figures now. Now our 2014, 2015, and 2016 are showing actuals, right? Are for the actual years, that's the historical years, right? Then for the 2017, sorry, 2017 to 2021 are showing the forecast years. Now look at it. That is the power of using custom formatting, right? So imagine that if I type something here, you can see it's showing a linked historical figure here, but what you are actually seeing in the cell is different from what is actually in the cell. Look at this. I believe you can replicate that, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to make we are going to we are going to put a banner over this, right? Like a banner. So we are going to just fill it with color, or we can just can go to cell styles and design a banner just like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just modify it, you know, go here. I only need the fill, right? Just go to formats. I need just the fill to change. I need a different color altogether. Let's see what color is beautiful. Let's use this beautiful color here, right? What else? We don't need any other thing here. Yeah. So since I've designed that cell format here or cell style, I can just choose it, and we have it as the banner here, right? Can make this Shift Control, left arrow, right arrow, sorry. Then we can make this italicized, right? This is fine. So what else can we do? Look at this here now. This is the first cell, A1. Um, on B2, I can put the name of the company. Instead of typing it here, I can just go, right? One thing about financial model, just like I said before, you don't want to repeat what you've done before. Just go and select this. We have the name of the company here before. You select it and press enter. You can see this is called this is Bright Manufacturing. That's the name of the company. We can increase the font size, right? Then we can put the sheet name here. Sheet name, right? Then we can just change the color of that. Can change the color of that text there to be, let's take this color. I love this color. Can bolden it too. Right. So that's the banner. So one other thing we want to do in our financial model is we want to include checks, right? We want to include checks in our financial model, e.g. the balance sheet check. I want to know, we don't want to be guessing if this thing is balancing or not. So we want to include a check so that as we walk along, we want to see if it's balancing. Can put OK here, right? We want to also put the scenario in use. Can say what is the scenario. Want to say live scenario or active scenario, right? Live scenario. Let's just put scenario. So when we implement this, it can show base case, base case, best case, worst case. So we are going to come back to this, right? We are going to come back to this. So we can just put somewhere, we can just say we have a work in progress, or to complete, to complete, or things to complete. You can just put it here and say you are still working on your balance sheet check. you still go back to that. Then scenarios, so that you will not forget it, right? You can see that scenario we put here is not yet active, you know. So one thing you can do with this is we can make it look different so that it pops, right? Let's see, maybe we should fill it with a different color entirely, right? Let's see. Mm, let's see, let's fill it with maybe a lighter shade, right? A lighter shade, something like. So we can make these checks look we can make them pop out, right? We can make them pop out. So we can make them easier to be seen. So one thing that we can do is press Control Shift 7. That makes it have an alignment. Sorry, that makes it have a border. It makes it have a border, right? Something else we can do is to change the color. We can just change the color, fill it with a different color entirely, maybe a lighter shade, something like that, right? Just to make it easier to be seen, right? Easier to be seen, right? So, okay. This case, Control I. I'll give you this. Okay, so let's go ahead and so since we have worked on our templates, this looks good already. Control S, save it. Before we go ahead duplicating it to other sheets, remember we need different sheets like the cover. We've done the cover page. We need the executive summary to have to take on this to use the same templates we've just built. We need the assumptions page to use these templates we've just built. We need the scenarios. So every other pages, every other sheet, like the calculation, the financial statements, the output pages, we need them to have these templates. So before we go ahead duplicating it, we need to, make this thing printable. We need to make it printable. So let's see how we're going to go about it. So, but before that, let's make it look good. We can go ahead, go to View, and remove the grid lines. Now you can see it looks very clean, right? Once you remove the grid lines, you can go to Page Layout and select this arrow here, Page Setup, right? So one thing about financial modeling also is that you can use shortcuts. I love using shortcuts. So you can use Alt. Once you press your Alt button, right, you can see it tells you a letter for each of these ribbons, right? So you can press Alt P for the page layout, P, then for that icon down here, SP, press SP. It opens up a dialog box. So instead of coming here and selecting page layout and coming here, so I can just know that it's Alt P SP, right? So it opens that dialog box, makes it faster. All right, so we want to do a setup for our printing, our page setup, right? So from this page, we want to how do we want our financial model to appear? What is the page orientation? Do you want it to appear in portrait style or landscape? So if you select portrait, of course, portrait does not accommodate a lot of columns, right? But if you select landscape, it will accommodate a whole lot of columns, maybe like between 8 to 10 columns. And how many number of rows? Maybe like between 35 to 50 rows, right? So for the scaling, we want it to be sizable when we are printing it, right? If you select 100, it will be very broad and it might not really accommodate a whole lot of things. If you select maybe like 80, you know, if you type 80, the size will be, moderate enough to be seen. If you select anything less than 80, of course, the figures or the numbers on your financial model will be too tiny to be seen, right? So most times people want to adjust it to between 80 to maybe 95, something like that. So let's just choose like 90. Let's select 90, you know. Then we can leave this one as it is. You can just adjust it to 90%, right? Just leave this paper size, letter, and the rest. The next thing we want to consider is the margins. We want to see what is the margins. The margins are the spaces between the spaces at the top, the bottom, the left and right corners, right? So most times you want to maximize the use of your page, right? So we can just say for the top margin, let the top margin be something like 0.25. Okay. The bottom margin, we want it to be something, you know, more than the top margin because we'll be putting we'll be writing something in the footer, right? So let's say bottom margin should be like 0.5, right? Let's say left margin, can just put it as 0.25. Right margin, want it to be like 0.25, 0.25. Let's see. Eh, Oh gosh, I've gone to press enter. Sorry about that. Let me press Alt PSP again. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, let's do Alt PSP. Yeah, so we are still editing this before I went to click enter. So we are still on our margin, right? Top margin 0.25, bottom margin 0.5. I want the footer to be like 0.25, half of the bottom margin. The header, uh, the header should, that's fine. We don't want anything on the header, right? So let's see. Okay. So let's just leave it at 0.25. 0.1. Okay, so what else? Center on page. So we want the center on page. We want it to center horizontally, right? Look at how this thing moves. You can see this. Yeah, look at how it moves. If we choose vertically, right, it centers vertically, right? We want it to center horizontally. What else do we do? Let's get to this header and footer, right? Header and footer. Do we want anything on the header? We don't want, right? Of course, we already have a header there in each of our pages on our template, right? So um, let's customize the footer. This footer here, let's customize the footer. This is the major thing on your page setup. So let's see, what do we need to customize on this footer? Because we want some inscriptions on each of our pages as we move from page to page. So for this footer on the left sections, we can just put the name of the company. The name of the company is Bright Manufacturing, right? Bright Manufacturing, right? Let's say you can always play around with this. There is no hard and fast rule about it. There is no rule and regulation that says you must include this, you must not include that, right? So you can work around it. You can put the file path there, right? If you put the file path by selecting any of the items here, like this one now, it's going to be very long. It's going to show when you print it, you see that the file path is showing the path of this particular file on your system, right? But you can just walk around it, put the file path or put any other information that is necessary. For me, I can just put Bright Manufacturing Financial model 2017 to 2021, right? So this center page, I can just put the page we are on, right? Just type page. You put space, right? Just come here. You can see this icon here. When you hover around it, it's showing this is the page number, right? Insert page number, page number of this is the total number of pages, right? Insert number of pages, right? Once you put this page, this of this, right? So here, Here, can you suggest what else we can put on our front, on our footer? One other thing we can put on our footer is we can just put the sheet name, right? Can put the sheet name. For me, I want to see the name of the sheet I'm currently working on. Sorry, yes, the name of the sheet. So I can insert the sheet name here, right? So that's for that. I just press OK for this. So it shows me the template sheet. Then for the sheet, now the print area, I can as well select the print area that I want in the financial model, right? I can select the print area, you know. When I'm done, print, I can go page by page, put in that print area, but I don't want to do this, right? So I can select the rows to repeat at the top. I want these rows to be repeated at the top, these rows from here to here. I want those rows to be repeated. Columns to repeat. If I want some columns like these columns to be repeated at the left, I'll put it here, but I don't want. Grid lines, don't want. So this page order here is just showing how our financial model will appear. Is it from down, then over, or over, then down? I'll just leave it as it is, then I'll press OK. Now, so what I'm going to do is now just go ahead and now look at this banner. This banner is not looking beautiful, very beautiful for me. So I'm just going to go to home. I'm going to this banner and just modify it again. It's not looking too beautiful for my liking. Oh, sorry, this is not art class. I think I'm just going to leave this banner as it is. Oh, I have issues choosing colors. Mm. And find your rest. Oh Lord, so that's why it's good to create a cell style for it so that I can always adjust. So this one now, I can just change the filling here, right? So uh no, no. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. So now look at it. We have created a template sheet for our financial model, and this template is what we'll be using throughout this model. So imagine, so if we want to build a page for the assumptions, we can just duplicate this, right? Just hold down your control button, select and drag, and leave the control button, right? Leave everything. Hold down the control button again for the number of pages you want to create. You can see everything is just taking the same template, right? Right. So what we are going to do is, no, 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 no. Thank you. So what we're going to do is, if you want to move from sheet to sheet, you can just hold Control, Function key, down arrow key to go forwards, up arrow key to go backwards. Can you see what I'm doing? Depending on the kind of keyboard you have. For me, I have to hold down the Control key, the Function key, that's the FN key, top arrow key to go backwards, down arrow key to go forward, right? So what I'm going to do is, what is this sheet? What is this sheet? Remember in our notes, look at our notes here. We need the cover page for the front section. We need the executive summary. We need the assumptions, the scenario. So let's go ahead and create those. Now we already have the cover page, right? We have the historical figure which we receive from our client or from the company's historical financial statement. So here we can make this one the executive summary. Remember that the executive summary is the first thing, right? After the cover page. Executive summary is what your users or your boss want to see, or maybe the other users of the financial model. They might not be skilled enough to be going line by line, going through the calculations. They want you to explain, the whole thing you've done so far. So here we'll change the sheet name to what? executive summary. Summary. Right. So here, what do you do? The next thing we want to do is create, what's the next sheet to see? The scenarios, right? Is that the next sheet in the front section? If you can hear me, you can respond. Scenarios, right? You want to know the scenarios. Scenarios. We want to build an assumption page.
No, it's the assumptions.
Okay,
Exactly,
assumptions, right?
assumption.
Okay, right. That's good too.
Yes.
Yes. The scenario is fine too. It can also come before the assumption, right? The assumption. Okay, so you want to know the assumptions you use to build the model, right? So you can put the assumption here as the sheet name. Assumption. Assumption is the same thing as inputs, right? Inputs, assumptions and inputs. Okay, or you just separate them, just write assumptions and inputs. Okay. And inputs, right? So what else? The scenarios, right? Just change the sheet name to scenarios. Scenarios, right? So what else do you see? Mhm. Now these are the front sections or the front end sections of the model from the cover page. You go to the, sorry, from the cover page. Of course, this one is not part of it, but then this one can be anywhere. This historical figure, it can just put it somewhere here. It doesn't matter, right? Yes, most people don't really want to see that. So from the cover page, this is our cover page. Then the executive summary. Now you can see we are all using the same template for all of them. The scenarios. What else? So we can have the engine, the calculations, the calculations and the financial statements. You can just say this is the model. So sorry. If you double click here, you can say this is the model. You can say this is the model or the calculations. So we can say this is the calculations and schedules, calculation and schedules. Now, when you've done your calculations and schedule, you can also include your model here, or you know, if you want, you can still you can still maybe just build your model here, right? Your financial statements, right? Your model here, just come here and call it model, right? Model or the financial statement, which shows your 5-year forecast, right? So this is basically how you build from the cover page, right? The executive summary, the assumption, the scenarios, the calculations, the model, and ultimately, if you want to maybe do evaluation, you can impute other sheets that shows the valuation calculations like the DCF values, the comparables, the and the rest of them, and maybe the ratios. So the next thing we are going to do is to go through our case study and go line by line, trying to make sense out of all these things and put them in our financial model. So that is the next thing we are going to do in the next class. So what you're going to do is to replicate this sheet. Make sure you build it, build it. Let me see, you can do it, make it printable. For example, I've just done something like this. We did a page setup for it. So let's see how it looks like when we do our page setup. Sorry, when we press Control P. So let's see how it looks like when we press Control P. Now you can see this is our cover page, right? So let's see if we say print active sheets, it will print only the sheets we selected, and you can see here it's showing page 1 of 1, right? But I want it to print entire worksheets. If I want it to print the entire worksheet, let's see how it looks like. Now you can see the number of pages have increased. So if I go from page to page, this cover page, I didn't put anything on the footer. You remember, I didn't put anything on the footer. So let's see, when we scroll to the next page, page 2, look at it. You can see that settings we did there, those page setup we did there. Look at our page 2, our executive summary. Can you see it? Can see it, right? Now, one thing about model is as you are building, if you see anything that does not look like what you want, you can always adjust it to your taste. Now, look at our footer here. We put Bright Manufacturing Financial Model 2017 to 2021, page 2 of 9, executive summary. Right, this is the executive summary page, right? So if you go to the next page, page 3, it shows you the assumptions and inputs, right? Just like that, right? Page 4, let's see how our page 4 looks like. Now, when we actually build out each of these things, you see it will look more interesting to the eye. So just like that. But I don't like this our balance sheet check and scenario and base case. So I'm going to go back and adjust it. So one other thing you need to take note of is let's escape. All right, let's escape. One other thing you need to take note of is now assuming I want to edit everything, I cannot be going from page to page, editing them one after the other. So what I can do is hold down my control key and select each of those pages I want to edit, right? I want to edit on one page while it's affecting the other pages. So I want to increase this thing here. Let me press Control Shift 7 and remove that alignment or that what's it called? Border. So I want to increase that filling, right? I want to increase it. Let's say, let me remove let me fill it with this color. Right, make it more expanded. What else do I do? Right, that's balance sheet check. I want to bring it down. Right, I want to bring it down. Right, it wasn't looking beautiful in my eyes. Control C. I want to bring it down. Control V. Right, so this I want to no borders. Right, okay, that's fine. Control Shift 7. Now this just shows that while you are working on your financial model, anything that you see that is not to your taste can always adjust it, right? So now look at, I just made this adjustment on one page, that's the executive summary, but you can see that since all these other pages are selected, this same thing will be replicated on other pages. Now let me click outside. Let me just click on a page that is not selected, or just click on one of those pages, right? I'll just click on cover since I didn't select it. So look at it. You can see scenario, the same thing has been replicated there, right? So uh, so that's a very simple way to make sure you replicate one thing on different pages at the same time. I'm going to save it. What else? I think I wanted to show you something. So look at, assuming you don't want to print all the pages at the same time. Maybe, for example, you see we have a page here called notes. Now look at, if we press Control P, let's press Control P and say we want to print entire workbook. So if we say we want to print the entire workbook, it will also go and print even that note we did there, right? Let's look at it. Let's go to page 9 of 9. Let me just press page 9 here. Let's see. I don't go press enter. You can see it's printing our notes too, but I don't want it to print that note. So I'm going to go back and just select, hold down my control key and select only the pages I want to print, right? I want to print up to our model, right? So just press Control P right now and press show print preview. How many pages is this showing us right now? Let's see. Why is it showing us up to 9? Oh, so because this is still selected, look at this part, this settings part. So it's showing print entire workbook. I don't want to print entire workbook. I want to print active sheets. Now look at it. It's showing just six pages. 6 pages. 6 pages, right? So that's fine. So, but one thing I noticed about our cover page is that our cover page is on on portrait. It's not on landscape, right? It's not on landscape. Let's go to our cover page. You can see our cover page is on portrait. So what I want to do is come to this my cover page, do my print layout. Let's see, or do Alt PSP. Let's see. This my cover page is on portrait. I want to put it on landscape and say OK. Right. That's fine. Press Control P again. Now this class is just show you how to, this one, what's going on? Page 3, what's going on? What did we do? Ah, okay. We need to work on our page. Uh, okay, we've done some scatter. Oh gosh, I just see the problem now. Control Z. You can see the last adjustment I made, thinking I only made it to our cover page, has affected all other ones, So it didn't affect only the cover page, right? Control Z again. I thought it was only for the cover page. Control Z again. Oh, no, 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 no. Control Y. Okay, that's fine. Don't be afraid. Control Y again. Okay. Okay, so basically just know how you're going to go about it. When we press Alt PSP, right? Look at this one now. We can just adjust it to, let's say, 90, right? Then what else did we change here? So I want it to, since it has affected all other sheets, I want to select every other sheet, right? Right. Then Alt PSP, right? Same thing we did, just adjust this to landscape, 90%, right? Go to this margins, adjust this to maybe 0.25. Adjust this. This one left, I want it to be 0.25, 0.25. This one 0.25 to 0.25. Bottom margin, because of all those things we wrote at the bottom, I want it to be 0.5. Then the footer here will be 0.25, right? So I'll click OK. I will not click OK, yes. I'll come here and adjust the customize the footer, financial bright manufacturing, financial model, right? From 2017 to 2021, right? Here, I want this to be page this, sorry, page this of this number of pages. Here, I want it to just have the sheet name, and I think we are good with this. Right, what else should we do? Go to the sheet. Okay, okay. I'll click OK. Now I'll come back to this. Let's say hold down Shift key and just press any of these. Control key, select multiple sheets. Alt PSP, Alt PSP. I want to go to the sheets. Okay, that's fine. Let's just leave it at that. Mm, Shift, select this. Now let's press Control P again and see. You can see this one has adjusted. Right, let's see. Select entire workbook. Show preview. Now it's showing landscape. Sorry, it's showing the landscape view. Now there are some things we didn't do yet, right? But that's fine. We will continue in our next class. So in our next class, we'll go ahead and start building our financial model And if there's any need for more adjustment on our prints, on our page setup, we'll go ahead and do it. Right. See you in the next class. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Make sure you replicate what we've done and chat me up if you have any more questions. Right. Take care.